You know that feeling, right? You're in a hurry, you hit the button, and nothing. You're either trapped in your garage or stuck outside of it. It is one of the most frustrating things, and it can just stop your entire day cold. So in this explainer, we are going to break down exactly why your garage door gets stuck, and more importantly, how you can fix it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a super fast step-by-step guide to figure out what's really going on. We'll start with the dead simple fixes, the stuff you can check in literally minutes, and then we'll work our way up to the more serious problems. That way, you can figure this out with confidence. And we totally get it. I mean, whether you're just trying to get to work or you're trying to lock up for the night, a stuck garage door feels like a huge deal. But hey, before you start imagining a massive repair bill, just know that a lot of these problems have surprisingly simple, easy solutions. All right, let's kick things off with what I call the 5-minute fixes. Think of this as your quick fix checklist. These are the absolute first things you should check. Honestly, going through these steps could save you a ton of time and maybe even the cost of calling a pro. First things first, let's talk power. It sounds almost too basic, right? But you would be amazed how often this is the actual problem. And the test is so easy. Don't just glance up at the opener. Go grab a lamp, or even just your phone charger, something you know works, and plug it into that outlet on the ceiling. If it doesn't turn on, you found your culprit. It's the outlet. From there, go check your circuit breaker or look for a GFCI outlet in the garage and hit that little reset button. And of course, just make sure the opener's cord didn't get yanked out by accident. Okay, so what if the opener has power, but clicking your remote does absolutely nothing? Well, the very first thing you should do is walk over to the button on the wall. Push it. If the door opens, great. You've just narrowed the problem down to your remote or keypad. So start with the easiest thing. Pop some fresh batteries in there. If that's not it, try standing a little closer to the garage door to see if it's a signal issue. And if you're still stuck, a quick reprogram using that Learn button on the motor itself almost always solves it. All right, another super common one, the safety sensors. You've seen them, those two little boxes down near the floor on either side of the door. They shoot an invisible beam of light across the opening. It's basically a tripwire. If anything breaks that beam, the door won't operate. The telltale sign of a problem here is a blinking light on one of the sensors. So look for anything in the way, a rake, a recycling bin, anything. Then make sure the lenses are clean and that they're pointed right at each other until both lights are solid. Now, before we get into the heavy-duty mechanical stuff, let's cover the oops moments. Because trust me, we've all been there. Did someone accidentally slide the manual lock on the inside of the door? Or maybe the vacation mode on the wall button got pushed, which is designed to disable the remotes. Or hey, did that red emergency release cord get pulled, disconnecting the opener from the door? These are so easy to miss, but thankfully, they're even easier to fix. Okay, we've gone through all the simple stuff. Now it's time to talk about the number one serious reason a garage door won't open. A broken spring. And as we get into this, I really want to stress that safety is everything. So why are springs such a huge deal? Well, because the standard double garage door can weigh anywhere from 150 to 300 pounds. That's a lot of weight. And guess what? It's not your opener that's doing the heavy lifting, it's the springs. They are coiled under incredible tension to perfectly balance all that weight. So when one of them breaks, your opener just isn't strong enough to lift the door by itself. This right here is the classic sign. If you were home when the spring let go, you probably heard it. People say it sounds like a gunshot or a huge bang in the garage. That terrifying sound is all of that stored up energy being released in a split second when the metal snaps. If you heard that, you've almost certainly found your problem. Now, you'll have one of two kinds of springs on your door. The big ones are called torsion springs, and they're on a bar right above the door. If one of those breaks, you'll see a very obvious gap in the coil. The other kind are extension springs, and they run along the sides, next to the tracks. If one of those breaks, it'll usually be left dangling or looking really stretched out. I need to be crystal clear about this, and I can't say it loud enough. This is not a do-it-yourself job. The amount of tension in those springs is dangerous. It can cause serious injury or even worse if it releases unexpectedly. This is the one time you stop what you're doing and you call a professional. No exceptions. Now, let's say you have to get your car out, and you are pretty sure it's not a broken spring. You can open the door manually. You just pull that red emergency cord. But here's the most important part. After you pull it, gently try to lift the door. If it feels like it weighs a ton, stop. Just stop right there. That's your confirmation that a spring is broken. But if it lifts smoothly, you can open it all the way, and then make sure you prop it open securely. Okay, so what if it's not the power, it's not the sensors, and it's not the springs? Well, let's dig a little deeper into some of the other hardware and motor problems that could be going on. See, your door needs a perfectly smooth path to travel up and down. So take a really close look at the metal tracks and the little wheels, the rollers. Are the tracks bent or warped? Have any of the rollers cracked or maybe even popped out of the track? Also, listen, do you hear scraping, rubbing, or grinding sounds when it tries to move? Sometimes just cleaning some gunk out of the track can fix it, but bent tracks usually mean there's a bigger problem.
Here's a classic symptom you might run into. You push the button, and you can hear the motor running. It's humming away up there, but the chain or the belt isn't moving at all, and the door is just sitting there. This is a huge clue that you've got a stripped gear. Inside a lot of openers, there's a plastic gear that's actually designed to break to protect the motor. After years and years of use, it just wears down.
And it's also important to be realistic that these parts just don't last forever. Your springs will typically last you about 7 to 15 years. The opener itself might make it 10, maybe 20 years. But if your opener is over 15 years old and it needs a big repair, honestly, it's often a much smarter move financially to just replace it with a new one that's going to be quieter and have better safety features. So we've spent all this time figuring out how to fix the problem when it happens. But how about we prevent it from happening again? The best approach is always prevention, so let's shift our thinking from being reactive to being proactive. Seriously, just taking a few minutes once a year can make a world of difference. This simple checklist covers all the basics. You just visually inspect your springs and cables for any signs of rust or wear, test your safety sensors, and lubricate all the moving parts. A little bit of attention really does go a long, long way. And hey, when you do get around to lubricating, make sure you're using the right stuff. You want a lubricant that's silicone-based or one that's made specifically for garage doors. You'll apply it to the metal rollers, the hinges, and the springs. And here is a huge tip. Do not use WD-40. It's great for loosening a rusty bolt, but it's not a true long-term lubricant. It can actually attract more dust and grime and make things worse. When you think about it, a garage door is this massive, complex machine that we just expect to work every single day until it doesn't. Neglected parts, aging springs, and little warning signs we ignore can all lead to that sudden breakdown at the absolute worst moment. So, after watching this, here's my challenge to you. Take 5 minutes, go out to your garage, just look and listen, and give your door the little bit of attention it needs before it decides to leave you stranded.